All right, so you're thinking about moving to Chicago and you want to know how much home you can afford in 2024, assuming a $100,000 salary that you make. And so today's video, we're gonna break down just some high-level details about how you can kind of come up with a budget and understand some of the financials behind what it looks like for you to actually buy a home here in Chicago on a $100,000 household salary. And so by no means am I a financial advisor, I'm not a lender. These are just things that I've learned buying properties for myself, as well as helping numerous clients in their transition here to Chicago and helping them understand what their budget looks like and what amount of a home, as well as what type of mortgage payment on a monthly basis would be comfortable based on their $100,000 salary. So let's get on into today's video. I hope this provides some good clarity and some confidence for you, and take all of this with a grain of salt. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I am not a money manager. I'm not a lender. I am a realtor who just helps people with this understanding on a frequent basis, and hopefully this can add some value to you. All right, let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jordan Pyle, and I'm your go-to Chicago real estate agent. My team and I have been servicing the city of Chicago for now about 11 years, and we'd be honored to help you achieve your real estate goals. So whether you're thinking about moving to the city or maybe moving around to a new home in the city, well, our team would be grateful to support you in that transition. So if you wanted to connect with us, put a real estate strategy together just so that we can make your goals come true, feel free to just text the number on the screen, and a team member or myself will get in touch within 24 hours. Also, if you are not quite ready to reach out and engage with our team, you can feel free to sign up for our free bi-weekly newsletter. We send this out every 2 weeks just to familiarize yourself with Chicago, things to do, things that are happening, and just a lot of other all-encompassing Chicago things. So feel free to look down in the description and you can subscribe to that newsletter, and it's obligation free. You can unsubscribe anytime. Lastly, if this has been of value to you, just do us a favor and like the video, comment down below, subscribe, and turn on all your notifications so you can catch all of our future videos. All right, so let's get into today's video talking about how much you can afford in a home in 2024 right here in Chicago on a $100,000 household income. All right, so the first thing you're gonna wanna understand is how much gross income are you bringing in every single month? And then what is the correct debt to income ratio that you may want in order to provide a comfortable monthly mortgage payment? You know, one mistake that I feel a lot of people that reach out to me thinking about buying homes is they like to focus on purchase price. But as you'll see in this video, there's a lot of different factors. There's actually 5 that we're gonna discuss today, being your principal, your interest, taxes, insurance, and your monthly HOA or your assessment. Those 5 factors make up your total monthly mortgage payment. And so instead of focusing on purchase price, I like to advise clients to think about what the monthly mortgage payment that would be comfortable for them, as well as the monthly payment that they get approved for and that they can afford. And then we'll work backwards from there so that you can understand what type of home you can afford. So on that $100,000 example, and again, you may make more than this, you may make less than this, but this is gonna give you a good framework so you can start doing the back of the napkin math before you maybe engage or maybe before you reach out to a lender. But I do advise you to get in touch with my preferred lender, Justin LaPotte, and his information is gonna be down in the description. It's also gonna be on the screen here, and he would be happy to have a conversation with you just so you can get a little bit more info. And I find that that is a really valuable conversation before we actually get out and start looking at properties. Quite frankly, I will not actually show properties until you have a pre-approval or some sort of proof of funds. And so that is going to be a critical part of this process anyways. So if you just want to start there and then refer back to me after you have that conversation, you can do that just by reaching out to Justin. And so on the $100,000 salary, if you divide 100,000, let's just assume that's your base salary, maybe bonuses, all of that's combined into that. This is your household income. So whether that's just an individual income, or maybe this is you and your spouse, or you and a significant other, your combined total income, in this example, we're using $100,000. So if you divide that by 12 for the 12 months of the year, that comes out to a gross income of $8,333 a month. And so this gives us our baseline of how much income you have. And in this example, we're also going to consider the fact that you would have 0 debt. So if you did have debt, this would change slightly, but for the sake of the simple example, we're gonna assume that you have no debt and you make $100,000 a year, or $8,333 per month. So this is a little bit of a moving target. However, when you reach out to the lender, they're going to advise that your monthly housing expense is not going to exceed between 28 and 35% of your monthly gross income. So for this example that I'm referring to here, we're gonna use 30% basically for your debt to income. So meaning your housing expense should not be more than 30% of your gross monthly income. So in this example, if you're pulling $8,333 per month, then you want your all-in monthly mortgage payment with your principal, your interest, taxes, insurance, and assessment to be no more than about $2,500 per month. If you're over that, you may be able to get approved for more than that, but it might not be a comfortable mortgage payment. So I like to really kind of relay this message in the term of comfortable mortgage payment so that you're not house poor, meaning you're not moving into a house, you have a beautiful house, but you're strapped every month for cash because too much of your monthly income is going towards only your housing payment. And so with the $2,500, as I mentioned before, and we're gonna actually jump over onto my screen so that you can see with a mortgage calculator how this kind of shakes out. So let's go on over to my screen and we will get this opened up for you. So this is a helpful resource I like. It's literally calculator.net. There's a ton of different calculators, but if you pull up the mortgage calculator, I ran an example here just to kind of give us an idea of what you could afford. So the example I'm giving you, and it's not perfect, but it's roughly kind of where you're gonna need to be to keep it under $2,500 a month or in the range of $2,500. So we're assuming a $300,000 purchase price. And in Chicago, you're probably not buying any single family homes, at least in the city, but you can definitely afford a condo for $300,000. And this is taking into consideration that your down payment is 20% on $300,000. Your loan term is a 30-year fixed conventional mortgage, and I'm taking an interest rate of 7.5%. That's roughly where interest rates are right now. And obviously at the time of this video, it is May 8th, 2024. These could change and hopefully these come down, which will then increase your affordability and your purchasing power when rates do come down. However, that also means that home values could go up because now there's more buyers in the market, affordability is higher, and so there might be kind of this double-edged sword where you can afford more, but prices and homes may be more expensive because of supply and demand. But all that being said, that gives us our general framework of where we need to basically define the amount that you're going to borrow. But the other things that you're going to need to consider, as we talked about, your principal and your interest, in that example comes out right here as you see highlighted at $1,678 per month. But we can't just assume that because there's also taxes, insurance, and your HOA fee. So if you look over here on the left, these are some of your other costs associated. So property taxes in Chicago, for this example, we're gonna use about 2%. They could be between 2 and 2.5%. There's also some ways that these could be lower with different types of exemptions you can claim. But in this example, we are considering 2% of $300,000, which is $6,000 per year. Property taxes are paid annually, and they're paid basically in 2 installments, and they're paid in arrears. And so just keep that in consideration. But every single month, what most people do is they will do what's called escrowing money for your taxes. So your lender will set this up for you, and every month they'll pay your taxes for you so that you're not paying these in a lump sum. So your home insurance, this can also vary depending on what type of property you get, but we're using the example of $1,000 per year. PMI, which is your principal mortgage insurance, if you're doing 20% down or more, you will not have this. So if you're going to be putting less than 20% down, you'll also be adding in, let's just say, another $150 to $200 per month on top of the total payment you'll see here. But in this example at 20%, PMI or the mortgage insurance is not going to be included. And this is not the same thing as your home insurance. You're going to be required to have home insurance, but if you have less than 20% down, you'll also, on top of the home insurance, have principal mortgage insurance. And then in this example, we're using an HOA or a monthly assessment fee of $300. And then lastly, other costs. These are your closing costs. So a lot of times if you're just kind of factoring in, how much money you're gonna need to buy a home, don't only consider the down payment. You're gonna also need to consider closing costs. In the city of Chicago, closing costs, again, are roughly between 2 and 2.5% of the purchase price. So if you're thinking about putting 20% down in this example, plus another 2%, really you need to have about 22% liquid in order to actually buy this home. And that varies. So if you're doing 10% down, you want to factor 12. And if you're putting 5% down, it would be roughly 7% down, and so on and so forth. So as you can see here, as we calculate this, your total monthly payment with everything included is $3,061 a month. That does not include your utilities either. So if you're making $100,000 a year and you're trying to buy a home with all these factors I just mentioned, then you may need to be looking less than $300,000. And let me just show you one thing just to show you how this could change things. So the interest rate is the biggest thing that we can manipulate or maybe get creative with different types of seller credits, where maybe we buy down your interest rate, or if you're buying in a market where, let's just say you have a 6.5% interest rate. let me just show you how these numbers change. So keep an eye on this 3,061, and I'm gonna move this down 1 point from 7.5 to 6.5. So you go from 3,061 to $2,900 a month. And so, that's basically $160 difference every single month with a 1% difference on your interest rate. Let's just say you can go another 1% down, 5.5%. Hopefully we get there soon. Now you're at $2,746 a month. So ideally you're in this range, but there's a lot of ways to buy at that 7.5% interest rate today and be able to drive that down by buying down your interest rate or paying for points, things like that. And so, but I'm going to continue on with this example. So just so you can see how this is made up. So $1,678 a month is your principal and interest. You add in the $500, which is $6,000 a year for your property taxes. Home insurance, $1,000 a year, comes out to $83.33 a month. Your HOA fee is $3,600 a year, which is $300 a month. And then your other costs, which are your like closing costs, things like that, that's another $500 per month. And that would be more so paid at closing, not necessarily a part of this. So in this example, I'm gonna actually get rid of this. I just wanted to show you that would be a part of what you need to consider. But in this example, that will not be actually rolled into your mortgage. That would just be something that you'll have to pay at the closing table. So if we recalculate that, now you can see in this example, it brings you to $2,561 per month. So pretty close. If you're making $100,000 a year, you could afford with 20% down at a 7.5% interest rate. With this data, in terms of property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, etc., you're gonna be right above $2,561 per month. And as you can see down here, I'm not gonna go super into detail, but your loan amount in this example is $240, so you're putting $60,000 down. Down payment, as you can see, total of 360 mortgage payments, total interest, and then your mortgage payoff date of 2054. Down here you can see the amortization schedule, and you can see right here where the first 10 years of your loan, you're basically going to be paying a large majority of that's going to be going to interest versus your actual balance. And then that flips and it starts to go in the other direction, right? So you can see your blue line, your balance goes lower and lower, and it really starts to go off the cliff here after your 10 or 12 year mark. And you can see your interest starts to level out about your 10 to 12 year mark. And so it's going to be mainly interest that you're paying in the beginning part of your loan. But over time, you're going to be paying that down, and you're going to be making more significant chunks at that payment so that you're paying down your mortgage balance. So all that being said, I want to just jump over to some real examples on my computer here. And so I just have some properties pulled up in Lincoln Park. So let's find one here that's going to give you an idea of what these payments will be. So let's just say, you are, making a little bit more than 100,000, and you're like, hey, I think I can afford a $500,000 home. Well, let's just go to this one on Orchard right here. So this one's listed at $499 per month. And so if you want basically your own search platform like I have right here, just feel free to reach out to us. You can text the number on the screen and say, hey, I would like to have the Compass app so that I can get in and start messing around, playing with these different mortgage scenarios and looking at properties. But we're happy to share our custom app for you. It's the best app out there. It's better than the Redfins, the Zillows, all of those things. So just reach out and we can get that sent over to you. So in this example, if you scroll down, once you have the app, this is a really good mobile app, but you can also do it on desktop. You see all this good info here about the property, and then at the very bottom, you have your mortgage calculator. So if you go in here, let me move my face over. This property at $500,000, assuming 20% down or about $100,000, 30-year fixed mortgage. Let's just say this is at 7.5% to make this consistent with our example. Property taxes are $6,000 a year, $507 a month, and your HOA fees are $278 per month. This will give you a total monthly payment of $3581 per month, almost $3,600. And so that's one example. Let me just give you one additional one, maybe at a slightly different price point. So let's just go to $419. So this one right here on Larrabee is at $419. It is actually temporarily no showing, so it's not being shown. You can kind of get an idea of what this would get you. And again, Lincoln Park, different neighborhoods, you're going to be able to afford different amounts of home. But if you scroll to the bottom here, you can see $30,222 per month. So these these numbers change property to property. So you can see here the HOA fee is $470 versus I think the last one was in the 300s. Your property taxes are about $35 less. And so that's why it's important not to just focus on purchase price. You really want to focus on the total payment based on all these factors. So your principal, just to review, your principal, your interest, your taxes, your insurance, and your assessment. And so that is just kind of a high level overview. That's all we're gonna do today, but I wanted to give you an idea of if you're making $100,000 in household income per year between you independently or you and your family, the amount of home or the amount of a monthly mortgage payment that you could afford. And so I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. And just a couple additional notes to consider. You're probably also gonna have your utility costs on top of this. And so outside of the numbers we just discussed, usually you're gonna pay some combination, if not all three of these. You're gonna pay for your Commonwealth Edison, which is your ComEd or your electric bill. You're gonna pay for your gas bill through People's Gas, and then you're usually gonna pay your cable and internet. And again, this can change depending on what type of property you buy, but this could be another, let's just say $150 to $200 per month on top of the mortgage payment that we just discussed. And so this doesn't include move-in fees, this doesn't include, transportation, from where you live today to Chicago or whatever the situation is. This is just going to give you, as I mentioned, a general idea of what you can afford making $100,000 in Chicago in 2024. So again, if this has been helpful, do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to get connected to start your real estate journey, or whether it be buying or selling, just text the number on the screen and one of us will get in touch with you. And if you just want to familiarize yourself with our bi-weekly newsletter, you can find that information down in the description, and you can of course watch all the other videos up on the screen here. I put out videos every single week about living in Chicago. Hope you find it valuable. We'll see you on the next video. All right, peace.